You talked about debating Muslims. I loved you and Sam Shamoon debating on valuetainment for the Christian position. I was like, y'all coming together, the Catholic and the Orthodox together, united. And they even try to throw out some bait to try to get you guys to kind of turn on each other a couple times. And you guys didn't take the bait. I thought it was a great debate. I thought it was fantastic. And then you and Sam have your situation. What was your impression of the debate you had with him as a debate partner on valuetainment? And then when do you think that devolved to what ended up devolving to, which we'll get into?
Yeah, so, I mean, we had been on pretty good terms for 5 years-ish, 6 years. I mean...
Wasn't he kind of flirting with Orthodoxy a bit?
Yeah, and then I think he decided to go the papal route.
Yeah.
So...
and his thing is like, generally, like, I just want people to go to high church. I just want people to go to Apostolic Succession Church, which is really interesting because I don't think it works that way, but you could enlighten me.
No, I mean, yeah, we just did a stream with my buddy Kai from Orthodox Shahada critiquing that position of the idea of a sort of a generic apostolic Christianity, which, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. I mean, but that debate happened because they were really looking for, on Fresh and Fit, they wanted like a high profile Muslim Christian debate.
It was Fresh and Fit, my bad.
Yeah,
I said valuetainment.
That's all right, but I mean, I just wanted to give, because I appreciate Myron setting that up. That was cool of him to do that. And they were like, we want really kind of aggressive debaters because we're going to put aggressive Muslims on. And it was going to be Daniel, Hakikachu, and Jake canceled for whatever reason because he didn't want to do it. But so then they brought in Ijaz, who's, I don't think, a very good debater. But I was happy to like do the, step back because Shamoon definitely knows Islam
very well.
And he knows the hadiths, infinitely better than I do and all that. So, I thought it was a perfect team up for that situation. And I tried to bring some, philosophical internal critiques to the table. And I think it was a blowout because if you go and, I mean, it's had multiple millions of views across the platforms. If you go to the Fresh and Fit channel, you can see 40,000-ish comments, 98% Islam lost. So optics were pretty bad for Muslims. So, I mean, that was I think the biggest debate of last year, except for Westside Billy Carson. Like those are the two biggest debates last year in terms of views. So it was providentially great. And then, you've got Sam moving continually in the last couple of years in the direction of papism. And, my buddies and I, we obviously didn't want him to go in that direction. So we're having this kind of backdoor DM conversation for a long time
with him directly. You and him are chatting directly behind the scenes. Okay.
And the weird part was that we've been talking about setting up a debate on his channel about Orthodoxy papism, right?
You and him one-on-one or
with a panel. Okay. We're discussing all possible options. Like we were even talking about doing presentations, just not even a debate. Like I do because we've done that in the past. For example, we had a dispute with Vocab Malone some years ago. So Sam invited me and FDA to come on and do a presentation, and then separate Vocab Malone do a presentation. That way nobody's getting mad, and you can hear both sides. So we discussed that as a possibility. We discussed a panel round table. But anyway, long story short, in the context of this, I just sent him a DM saying, hey, it was a very cordial, do you want to set up a debate on Trinity and the essence energy distinction? Because I think that's really important, contrasting to the Roman Catholic position, the Orthodox view of the energies. And he just flipped out. It was like,
that was just a one
how
thing?
dare you text me while I'm live streaming because you're working for the devil? It's like, what? Like, been totally cool for 6 years, and then it's like one tweet or one text.
There was nothing else behind that.
No. In fact, they even said in the next message, like, hey man, there's no reason to get upset. Let's set up a timed response. That way nobody gets angry. And it just flipped out even, like it went even crazier. So at that point I was like, okay, something else is going on. So I just removed myself from that situation.
Essence energy's distinction. I don't want to get super in the weeds on it, but it seems like Catholics take a more God's simplistic in that his parts are him, God's love is God, God's power is God, and you guys have a fair to say a bit of a distinction between God's essence and his energies.
Yeah.
And that's the foundational disagreement.
So he had the reason that came up was that
He like mocked the energies thing a bit, right? Or
after
something
the
like
after
that.
the
After
thing,
that,
but
okay.
like he was presenting a differing views of the Trinity from Protestant, Roman Catholic, Orthodox people, and that's what prompted me to message him and say, in our view, there's not just a filioque and non-filioque model. There's also the question of the energies that we believe is directly connected to the Father as the sole cause or the monarchia in the Godhead. So monarchical Trinitarianism, which Dr. Bo Branson is a really good
Yeah, I got a couple buddies that
progenitor
are,
of-
that are
yeah.
monarchical Trinitarians. Yeah.
and we think that like that doesn't stand alone. It also kind of necessarily connects to the doctrine of the energies because the energies have the same movement as the persons in the triad.
Interesting.
Anyway, so yeah, I included in the offer, like, why don't we discuss Trinity, filioque, and energies? And I think because he doesn't really know about that at all, he's new to a lot of these topics, it was easier for him to just sort of flip out, poison the well, spoil the possibility of having that debate.
Yeah, he had crashed out on me the week before that. He had crashed out on somebody else the week before that, and I was privately talking to him, like trying to get him to walk off certain ledges because it was like a consistent
That's my
onslaught
experience too.
of like, hey man, like I'm not trying to attack you.
Right.
Like if my audience asks, what do I think about this thing that happened?
Right.
I'm gonna talk about it. If you don't want me talking about it, I won't ever talk about you again. I won't put you in a thumbnail. I won't do any of that sort of stuff. And then he's like, no, it's all good. It's all good, brother. Thank you for reaching out. And we had a really good conversation. And then it just completely went left.
It's
and
then
like
bipolar. Like,
yeah.
it's like,
yeah, there's something going on there. The stuff that he said though seems to have crossed some lines I've never seen him cross before. Where he started talking about your wife. He really jumped out the window and said some wild stuff that I just had never, I've never like
weird.
I thought there was certain stuff that's just off limits.
Yeah.
You know, and how did you process that? And at that point, were you just kind of like, oh, this is something else? He's having a mental health episode, and I just need to leave him alone. Was that kind of your temperament, more or less?
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a mocking way. I think actually there is some kind of like probably a bipolar thing going on. And I know he's had a tough time with his situation, which I don't talk about people's personal drama usually. I don't know about what's going on with him, but I think that sometimes people have kind of like what we talked about earlier with Alex, like there might be something going on personally, and then that affects sort of the internet optics and how they're operating on the internet. So, I mean, that would be my guess, but I don't know.
Yeah. In that, I defended you because Redeem Zoomer, I think, responded to something. I defended you, and I said, hey, like Jay's been nothing but kind in our interactions privately and publicly, and I think like Sam's crossed the line. And then people started replying to me and are like, well, Jay is not always the kindness and he's not always the nicest. And there was a thing about something about Coptic Christians, and you were mocking Coptic Christians that were martyred.
No, I didn't mock anything. I questioned the legitimacy
of the videos
because mainstream news articles said that the videos are questionable. So all I did was repeat what was in the news, and I didn't say for sure that nobody had. I just said we don't know on the basis of just this piece of evidence.
Got it.
So I've always thought like there's nothing wrong with being skeptical about authoritative claims and sources. And if you look at where those videos come out of, they're dubious sources. But I don't know. So people assume that, oh, I'm saying for sure that nobody's ever been martyred, nobody's ever been killed. No, I was just taking a skeptical attitude. And I still take skeptical attitudes to when I see an immediate fluid situation where something's developing, just happening. I'm not going to immediately buy into it. I'm going to wait and see. And I've always had that attitude.
Got it.